Welcome to Accessible Art History, the podcast, the best place for art history lovers or anyone that is curious. My name is Annalisa, and I'm here to share an incredible work with you. Just a quick reminder before we get started. All sources and images will be posted on the Accessible Art History blog. You can find the link in the episode description as well as on our Instagram at accessible.art.history. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get started. Well, here we are, the finale of 50 objects that shaped Western art. I can't believe we finally reached the end. I started this podcast in June of 2020, and it's been an amazing ride through art and time. To wrap things up, I'm going to discuss Banksy's Girl with a Balloon, the one that was shredded a few years ago. This is an iconic work that caused quite a sensation a few years ago. It has been labeled as, quote, the first work in history ever created during a live auction. So to learn more, keep on listening. Banksy's Girl with a Balloon, or Balloon Girl as it's sometimes known, is deceptively simple. It shows a young girl wearing a dress. Her hair and outfit are windswept by a strong breeze. She has lost a hold of her balloon, and it floats away in the wind. This particular version I'm discussing in this episode was encased in a golden frame. Banksy has created multiple versions with different colored balloons. The most famous is the red one, but there are also works with purple, pink, blue, and gold balloons. This image was first created in 2002 on the walls under the Waterloo Bridge at London's South Bank. It was also accompanied by the quote, "There is always hope." Around the same time, another version was created on the walls of a shop in Shoreditch, East London. Sadly, both have now been lost, but photographs do survive. Prints were released of the work by Banksy in 2004. He created 150 signed editions and 600 unsigned ones. The signed ones were sold for £150. Today, they can fetch more than six figures at auction. As with the majority of Banksy's works, this piece was meant to have symbolism about political and social change. The most common interpretation of Girl with a Balloon is the loss of hope or innocence. The balloon represents the simplicity and pleasures of life, and the wind is tearing it away from the young girl. Banksy also used his fame to use art as a political statement. In 2014, he gave the young girl a headscarf. This was meant to draw attention to the conflict in Syria. 2 years later, in 2016, Banksy changed the balloon to have a Union Jack pattern. He offered a free print to any citizen of Bristol if they could show they voted against the Conservative government. Next, I'm going to discuss the main event. But first, let's take a quick break. Hey there, my name is Annalisa, and I'm the founder of Accessible Art History. As a part of my content offerings, I produce a podcast. For the first several seasons, I will be discussing 50 objects that shape the history of Western art. From prehistoric cave paintings to contemporary art, I'll be covering it all. The podcast was designed for everyone, from the casual couch historian to a museum's expert. It all fits within the larger mission of Accessible Art History, to create a space for art history lovers, students, and anyone who is curious to explore all periods of art history and human creation. New episodes drop every Monday on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure to follow the Instagram page for all updates at accessible.art.history. Alright, now that we're back, let's get into my favorite part of the story. On October 5th, 2018, a 2006 print in a golden frame was put up for auction at Sotheby's. The gavel came down at £1,042,000, a record high for the artist. But at that exact moment, the print and frame started beeping. Within seconds, the painting started shredding itself through a hidden device in the frame. I've linked a video in the blog post. I highly recommend you watch it because the drama and shock is amazing to see. As soon as it happened, the artist posted a picture of the work with the words, "Going, going, gone," and renamed the work, "Love is in the Bin." Later, he reposted a video with the quote saying, "The urge to destroy is also a creative urge." He wrongly attributed it to Pablo Picasso. It's actually a statement from Mikhail Bukhan, a Russian anarchist. In a series of YouTube videos, Banksy showed how he installed the shredder a few years before in case the work was ever put up for auction. However, he posted that the machine actually malfunctioned as it was supposed to shred the whole piece instead of just half. Ironically, due to the media coverage, experts believe that the stunt actually doubled the value of the piece instantaneously. So what does this mean about art? The destruction can tell us a lot about contemporary art and the artist's own opinions. Firstly, it shows us that art is fleeting. What is there 1 minute is gone the next. It also speaks to the inflation of art, based solely on the artist's name, and not necessarily for their talent or beauty of the piece. In addition, it shows the general public that art is disposable, and sometimes the spectacle is more valuable than the art itself. Unlike the other artists I've covered on this podcast, we don't really know who Banksy is. It's a pseudonym of an English-based artist, a political activist, and film director. He's been active since the 1990s, first reaching fame around the turn of the century. His work is known for its political and social satire, and the novelty of popping up in random places. In fitting with this theme, Banksy has donated many works to fund various causes. The most common name put forth for Banksy's true identity is Robert Gunningham. However, as of this recording, it has not been confirmed. Some of Banksy's critics dismiss his work as simple vandalism. This could technically be true, as he's a graffiti artist who creates works on the side of buildings, walls, and other public places. But his fame and statements in the form of artwork means that the general public doesn't necessarily follow this line of thinking. Today he's one of the most famous names in the contemporary art world. Banksy's Girl with Balloon is a fantastic commentary on the contemporary art world. Its destruction was quite cheeky. It is a seemingly simple work that has come to mean so much. I can't believe my series on 50 objects that shaped Western art is finally over. I had so much fun exploring the timeline of art with you. Remember, these are only 50 of thousands upon thousands of works from across time. Next up, I'm going to explore non-Western art by region. I don't have a release date for the seasons, but make sure to follow my Instagram at accessible.art.history for updates. I'm also hoping to turn this project into a book, so keep an eye out for that update as well. Thank you all for your support over the last year and a half of this project. I couldn't have done it without you. Here's to many more years of accessible art history.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Accessible Art History, the podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at accessible.art.history for updates and keep an eye out for our next episode. They drop every Monday on your favorite podcast platform.